Welcome to an exciting Friday edition of Blue Raider Extra Point. I'm Noah Brady, joined alongside Adam Brown and Dylan Simmons and the rest of the MTN Sports crew here in the heart of campus of Middle Tennessee State University, the Blue Raider Hall of Fame. Excited to bring you another exciting edition of college football here in the CUSA. Adam's going to kick us off, take us around the CUSA.
All right, Noah, first we're going to check in with Dylan's Bland friends at Rice, and then we're going to check out a game that features two teams MTSU fans are all too familiar with.
This week on Around the CUSA, we're going to check in on a conference game at Rice and take a look at another matchup between two teams Blue Raider fans will be all too familiar with. Up first is our friends at Rice, who are taking on the UAB Blazers at home. This Rice team is taking care of business against teams that they should beat and have not looked so good against better competition. This has led them to a 2-2 record going into this conference matchup against UAB, where we should learn a lot about who this Rice team really is. The Blazers started the season off on fire with a 59-0 win against Alabama A&M, but were not as hot as the Liberty Flames in Week 2. They rebounded nicely against Georgia Southern, but there's not much we can learn from opponents like Southern and A&M, so just like Rice, we should come out of this one with a little more understanding of just what this UAB team is capable of. For our next game, if it was possible for both teams to lose, Blue Raider fans would take it in a heartbeat. We have our two biggest rivals squaring off in Bowling Green as Troy travels to Western Kentucky. 100 miles of hate meets the battle for the Palladium. This Western Kentucky team has their offense humming and show no signs of slowing down. The post-Zappe era at Western has gone the way of best-case scenario for the Hilltoppers, as their quarterback Austin Reed has 14 touchdowns so far on the season. Their defense, while questionable at times, has done enough to win, as Western sits at 3-1 with an overtime loss to Indiana. Troy has played a much tougher schedule while still managing to look pretty good statistically. The major eyesore on paper is that they only have 66 yards rushing so far this season. Is that a product of their schedule, or is the run game that pedestrian for the Trojans? If they want to go into Bowling Green and make it out with a win, establishing some sort of rushing attack will be crucial. And remember, conference loyalty doesn't benefit our Raiders, and rooting for WKU is like rooting for the devil because he's in the Bible.
Should be interesting to see as two of MTSU's biggest rivals duke it out in Bowling Green, and hopefully Troy can do us a solid.
Yeah, and I gotta say, talking of something interesting, the quarterback matchup. On one side, you've got Austin Reed for WKU, huge potential. On the other side, you've got a man with one of the best names in college football and an Apollo 11 rocket arm to match in Gunnar Watson. Guys, it's gonna be awesome.
Well, if you're an MTSU fan, guys, you're kind of disappointed you're not getting that MTSU-Troy matchup for the Battle of the Palladium.
Right.
But I will say for the Blue Raiders, you're kind of pulling for the Trojans in this one in Hilltopper country as they're going up against a CUSA opponent that you're getting ready to face here at home on homecoming week. With that, though, we'll take a look at the rest of the matchups coming up around the CUSA. Some good-looking matchups will fill that TV guide on Saturday. We'll be right back with more on Blue Raider Extra Point.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Welcome back to True Blue TV, which is home of Blue Raider Extra Point. Let's kick it over to Agent 00 Simmons himself for this week's Big Blue Review.
It's Simmons, Dylan Simmons, and I've got your Big Blue Review for this week. First, we're going to check out MTSU's Rowdy Raider hockey team, which just crane kicked Kennesaw State to get their first win of the season. And we're also going to be checking back in with MTSU women's soccer. Let's take a look. The Rowdy Raiders of MTSU hockey came in with one mission over the weekend in their series against Kennesaw State: win their first game of the year. Like Tom Cruise, they found a way to complete the mission in awesome fashion. It started on Friday night with a quick strike in the first period from the icebender Lyndon Palmer, who would not be done. Soon, he was joined by teammates Anthony Bennis and Corey Settle, who along with Palmer would all score 2 goals on the night. Ethan Roy became the ultimate stop sign in the second period by not giving up a goal during that time. It would lead to a 7-4 victory and MTSU's first season win. Despite losing their next game partially due to injuries, the Raiders now have momentum to build toward their next series against Vanderbilt, starting October 7th, which will be broadcasted right here on MTN Sports. MTSU women's soccer invited a guest into their house in the North Texas Mean Green on Thursday, September 22nd for their first CUSA home game. The Raiders started off in a close affair, thanks in large part to Hannah Suter playing so lights out that not even the sun could match her in the first period. In total, she would make 7 saves on the night. MTSU could not score any goals on the night though, despite the best efforts of Maddie Franz and Eleanor Goff, among others. They now look ahead to logging all 100 miles of hate in a tour to cornfields as they host Western Kentucky on Sunday. Well guys, as you can see, both the Rowdy Raiders and MTSU women's soccer are striking with success.
You love to see sports other than football having success, and not only success, but some great coverage thanks to our MTN sports team of the Rowdy Raiders hockey.
Now guys, I'm going to reel it back in a little bit, and I don't want to be the guy that puts politics in the sports show, but I got to say, the mayor of Murfreesboro's jersey is getting retired tonight in Johnny Red Floyd Stadium. And Zachary Loan on this week's Blue Raider Spotlight takes an inside look into what Kevin Byard meant to the Blue Raider legacy.
19 interceptions, 4 pick sixes, 5 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 312 tackles, 17 pass deflections. The mayor of Murfreesboro will get what he deserves, as Kevin Byard will have a special honor at the Blackout football game.
Your MTSU number 20 will become the second number to be retired in the history of the university.
The only other number retired in MTSU's history was in 1965, when they retired quarterback Teddy Morris's number. Byard's pro career has included being a 2-time All-Pro, Walter Payton Men of the Year Award nominee, 542 tackles, 24 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns. Kevin Byard has been great both on and off the field.
He came as a professional. He did everything right off the field. He had an incredible work ethic. He was extremely focused on his goals, what he wanted to accomplish, not only as a student, not only as a football player, but as a man.
Kevin Byard has had a major impact in the community, such as giving out waters and supplies to workers who were helping with the cleanup of the Nashville tornadoes. Byard has been a leader both on and off the field, and it shows as he's been a team captain of the Titans for the past few years. Kevin Byard sat down with Luke Easterling of Bleacher Report prior to being drafted and said that as long as he is on the draft board and a team gives him a shot, he's going to shine. And shine he has. Byard has proved all the doubters wrong as proof of his numbers being retired. Murfreesboro. For Middle Tennessee News, I'm Zachary Loan.
Thanks, Zachary. Stay tuned because there's more where that came from. We'll be right back with more on Blue Raider Extra Point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider Hall of Fame. Let's see what's in store on this week's edition of The Scoop.
After a slow start against FCS opponent Texas Southern, UTSA was able to run away with the win thanks to record-setting performances from senior quarterback Frank Harris and senior wide receiver DeCorian Clark. While the offense was flying, the defense at times looked like one of Wile E. Coyote's failed traps, giving up big chunk plays and 460 yards of total offense. While that might be manageable against the Longhorns, it's problematic against FCS competition, especially getting ready to go into conference play. Jared Kalmus, who covers UTSA football, talked about the Roadrunners' struggles on his podcast, The Alamo Dome Audible, saying that the defensive issues were possibly a result of running new defensive schemes to prepare for the Blue Raiders. But missed tackles didn't help. Kalmus would go on to mention just how impactful Conference USA has been to the Roadrunners as they get ready to depart for the American Athletic Conference. If the Roadrunners want to meep out of Murfreesboro with the win on Blackout Night, they'll have to keep the offense moving and protect Frank Harris with help from senior lineman and Campbell Award semifinalist Ahofuto Maka leading the blocking. The Roadrunner defense will also have to shore up its defensive deficiencies, and special teams will also play a pivotal role in the position battle as both teams' punters were recognized with weekly honorable mentions for their punting prowess.
Always good to get a good look behind enemy lines, especially when you've got a primetime matchup against the Roadrunners.
Now let's send it over to Zachary Malone to see what makes the Roadrunners so fast on their feet on this week's Scouting Report.
The Blue Raiders come into this contest with momentum as they host the reigning CUSA champions and the UTSA Roadrunners. UTSA is coming into this matchup 2-2 on the year, but they are battle-tested as they've already faced the likes of Houston, Texas, and Army. CUSA Player of the Week Chase Cunningham is coming off a game in which he became the first quarterback since at least 2000 to throw for 400 yards on 16 or fewer completions. The Roadrunners have allowed 225 yards per game on 8 yards of completion this year. The biggest thing, though, to watch on the Blue Raiders' offensive side of the ball is the rushing attack. UTSA has allowed 213 yards per game on the ground this year. MTSU, though, has rushed for 435 yards over their last 3 games, with the majority of their touchdowns coming through pounding the rock. This is something that MTSU can take advantage of. UTSA's Frank Harris is 6th in the country in passing, averaging 351 yards through the air and 3 passing touchdowns per game. He has led a lethal air attack in the early parts of the season. MTSU has allowed 249 yards per game through the air, which includes 11 passing touchdowns. The Blue Raiders will need to slow down Harris if they are to stay in this game. MTSU and UTSA has quickly become one of the biggest games in recent history in Floyd Stadium. Are the Blue Raiders equipped to compete for the CUSA Championship this year? Or will they start conference play 0-1? We will find out shortly.
Thanks, Zachary, for showing us what puts the meat neep in the Roadrunners.
Dylan, you are something else. All right, guys, let's see what we can unlock this week with the keys.
Yes, sir. For my first key, don't be Wile E. Coyote. You know, we just talked about the Looney Tunes. They don't want to fall off a cliff like Wile E. Coyote in reference to MTSU. This Roadrunner offense is going to get off to a sprinting start. They're going to go fast. Frank Harris, over 1,300 yards. Zachary Franklin, 393. MTSU's got to make sure to keep up. Look out for Zaylen Wood, Walter Camp Player of the Nation last week as a defender. Look out for him. Number 2, Ace with Chase. Guys, we talked about how important Chase Cunningham was going to be against Miami. He absolutely delivered. He's got that Tom Brady clutch gene. The dude's an absolute unit. Look for him to play a big role tonight. And number 3, speed. MTSU is speed. As Lightning McQueen once said, losers get eaten for breakfast. And for MTSU, they've got to have that same mindset. They've got everything going in their route tonight. They've got everything playing for them. It's going to be blackout night. All the fans are going to be there. Play with intensity and play and strike fast to take UTSA off their game.
Adam?
Yeah, Dylan, you mentioned Frank Harris, and he has to do with every one of my keys this week, so let's get started. One is contain Frank Harris. Harris is the engine that makes that offense move, and containing him is going to be the #1 priority for the Raiders tonight. And you'll notice I said contain. That's why my second key is bend, don't break. You can't completely stop an elite athlete like Harris, but you can give him problems. It's going to come down to red zone defense and can we force field goals. And then finally, keep him off the field. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense that stays on the field for a long time with long, methodical drives that drain clock and keep him on the bench.
I like that, Adam. My first key, score on defense. Guys, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We saw what happened in Hurricane Country when MTSU did that last week. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Second key, manage the game. Take control. The Blue Raiders, they control their own fate in this one. No other team from the Conference USA comes into this one with an AP-ranked top 25 win. MTSU controls their own fate. My final key, the knockout blow on blackout night. Guys, they need to punch those Roadrunners in the mouth and literally make them hit the road. If it's me, I want a lightning-sized fist on that knockout blow. Where's it going to come? Offense, defense, or special teams? We got to have one, if not all three, show up in a big way. Those are our keys for the Blue Raiders to be successful on blackout night. We'll be back with more on Blue Raider Extra Point.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point. Guys, it's our favorite part of the show. It is time for the picks. And joining us here on our special Friday episode, we've got Mr. Blake Neiman of MTSU's Rowdy Raider hockey team. Blake, MTSU just picked up their first win on the road this week. How are you feeling coming off of that road trip?
Feels great. Always feels good to get the first win. Plenty more to come.
Absolutely. And you guys split the series on the road this week, but definitely good to get that first win under your belt, especially getting ready to come back home for a big homestand.
Absolutely. Looking to ride the momentum.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to get you off the ice for a little bit and talk some football here, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to start out with Dylan Simmons. We got FAU taking on North Texas.
You know, North Texas kept it kind of close against Memphis. They only lost by 10 points. Not too bad. Austin Ayun with 371 yards, but that defense, that defense, still giving up 38 points per game. They need to go into real estate because they give up so much empty space on the football field. They could sell it to a lot of people, let me tell you. And as for FAU, looked good against Purdue. I love N'Kosi Perry, but North Texas guys, in my opinion, they're the mean green. Give me the Owls. FAU takes it.
Yeah, these two teams are nearly identical, record-wise, offense-wise, defense-wise, all the way down. But there's a big difference, and it's that North Texas is a lot more turnover-prone, and you know I'm rolling with my Owls. Give me FAU.
Blake, what you got?
It's going to be North Texas for me.
North Texas. I'm taking North Texas in this one as well, guys. Both teams are looking for win number 3, but they're also both allowing 32 points per game. They're almost identical. It's like you're looking in a Conference USA themed mirror for this one. Over under at 68.5. I like the mean green, not the meme green at home in this one. UTEP at Charlotte.
Yeah, UTEP surprised me last week, guys. Only allowed 10 points against a pretty good Boise State team, at least in my opinion. That defense looks awesome so far. Only didn't allow 100 yards passing or rushing. Charlotte, though, it's Chris Reynolds against the world. I just don't think they've got the talent right now. Give me the Miners.
Yeah, in this Miner-Niner matchup, I think I'm taking the Miners.
Miner-Niner.
Miner-Niner.
Blake, Miners or Niners?
Take the Miners.
All right. And, well, in this Miner-Niner Classic, like you said, at Jerry Richardson Stadium in Charlotte, UTEP, no wins in their history against Charlotte, played a 2019 and a 2020 Charlotte team that looks very, very different than this 2022 team. I've got UTEP getting the win in this one, though, for the first time in history against Charlotte. Troy on the road against WKU in what might be the game of the week here.
Yeah, you mentioned it. It's going to be, I think, one of the sleeper hits of the year, especially in CUSA. You've got Western, who just embarrassed FIU. We'll get more into that later. But they look great right now. Austin Reed, 381, 5 touchdowns last week. And we've got a Troy team that's really competed. Only have lost to App State and number 14 Ole Miss. It's going to be a really offensive clash. I think the key is going to be who gets the run game going. I think it's going to be the Trojans. Give me Troy.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be an offensive clash. Going to look like a classic hockey fight out there. But the big difference is, Dylan, WKU has been able to defend the run well this season. And it's going to take a run game from Troy if they're going to win it. But I don't see that happening on the road, and I think WKU gets the win at home.
Blake?
It's going to be the Hilltoppers for me.
Hilltoppers at home. Well, I'm going to have to go against you on this one. I think Troy gets it done. 82% are saying WKU. Not me. Y'all know, I'm not a Hilltoppers guy, not a big Hilltopper guy, more of a Blue Raider myself. But I think Troy walks away with their third win this year.
They've got a humbling section of the schedule coming up against UTSA and MT.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but we'll get into that later. UAB on the road against Rice. Simmons.
Yeah, Rice, I believed in them, and then they lost to Houston, albeit it was a close game. He kept it close. TJ McMahon has been kind of good, kind of not. I really can't get a gauge on the guy, but we need more of that Kobe Campbell souffle. You know what I'm talking about? We need more of that and less of the Kobe Campbell soured onions. And as for UAB, look out for running back Dwayne McBride. He runs, as Daft Punk said, harder, better, faster, stronger. The man is an absolute unit, and he ran for 223 yards in his last game, guys. He's going to be the key. I don't think that Bland Rice can stop them. Give me UAB.
Oh, no, Dylan. Bland Rice again.
They're
Give him
back.
such
They
a hard
gotta
time.
win.
Well, I had the FAU Owls. I'm taking the Rice Owls, too. I'm going 2-0 Owls teams this week.
Wow.
I'm picking the upset.
Big upset, but Rice at home. I like it. Blake?
It's going to be UAB on the road.
UAB for you, UAB for me. Dylan, you hit on it earlier. McMahon's accuracy, it's going to determine the outcome of this game. I mean, he's got 8 touchdowns. He's got 7 picks. He's got to part the Red Sea in terms of widening that margin if Rice wants to have any kind of success. However, I will say this. You can't spell Rice without ice. They're ice cold right now. I like UAB on the road. FIU taking on New Mexico State.
Guys, FIU lost 73-0. Let that sink in for a second. 73-0. I scored as many points sitting on my couch as they did, and I gave up 73 less points. So, when you think about it, they are the second worst embarrassment in Miami as far as college football is concerned. You're lucky because somebody is in a worse position right now, but you know what? This is going to be a bad game, unfortunately. No disrespect to these programs, but this is kind of going to be a toilet bowl. Somebody has to win, though, so give me New Mexico State.
Shout out to our colleague Ryan for calling this the pillow fight of the week, and I think the Aggies are the better pillow fighters this week at home.
Blake, who do you got winning this pillow fight?
New Mexico State for me.
New Mexico State. I'm going to take New Mexico State in this one as well. It's going to start to look like that Sunday night football game from earlier this week when we saw the Broncos and the 49ers at one point in a 7-5 game. I mean, stepping out of the back of their own end zone. I see this being looking like a preseason kind of game where
beware.
It's not going to be pretty, but I think it's going to be a race to 10 points. Whoever gets there first walks away with this one. And for me, I'm taking New Mexico State. All right, we're bringing it home. UTSA on blackout night here, Johnny Red Floyd Stadium against MTSU.
Man, guys, there's nothing better than Friday Night Lights right here at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium, our first Friday night game of the year, and you've got all the factors coming together. Kevin Byard's numbers getting retired. We've got MTSU coming off a program-defining victory against Miami, first AP-ranked win in school history, and, of course, the almighty blackout night. It is going to be a game for the ages, and UTSA with Frank Harris and Zachary Franklin, they're going to contend. I think this will be the game that decides and maybe determines who wins CUSA. And as Nick Frazier said, UTSA, they're Krispy Kreme hot, but I think on this night, we're going to see MTSU eat all the donuts. Give me MTSU 37-34 on a last-second field goal.
I I like it.
Forgot to check his pockets.
Yeah, well, at least it's edible this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, guys, I've been high on UTSA this season. I think Frank Harris is an elite athlete, so I was really conflicted with this pick. But Dylan, all those factors you mentioned, plus my keys that I think MTSU are going to be able to pull off, I've got MT in this one at home.
Blake?
I got to take the Blue Raiders at home.
He's supporting it. I mean, we should have known. He came in with the MTSU hat. Well, boys, I'm happy to say that we've got a clean sweep in this one as well. I'm taking MTSU at home. I wore my blackout suit tonight, or just for MTSU, but also, rest in peace, Miami. I'm ready to show up to the funeral whenever.
Put some dirt on it.
Absolutely. That one was for you, Simmons. But yeah, you know, guys, all these factors coming into it. The jersey retirement, it's blackout night, Friday night lights. Nobody's gone home for the weekend yet. There's no excuse for this place not to be sold out on Friday night. I like MTSU. Give me the Blue Raiders.
There you go.
Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for all your Blue Raider coverage and more.
Well, that's all that we have for you today, folks. But before we let you go, we got to talk to Mr. Neiman here. Blake, with that extra element of coverage that's coming from MTN Sports being out at Antioch, you know, covering you guys now, talk a little bit about the fan base and talk about that extra element of coverage.
The support's been great the last few years. We've had a ton of fans coming out, and you can really feed off that energy, and especially seeing the cameras and all the fans in the stands, like, helps you really find that extra gear.
Also helps out with those jersey sales too, right?
Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you play center. What's kind of an NHL center that you model your game after, grew up watching, favorite player, something like that?
I'd have to say Robert Thomas on the St. Louis Blues.
Good one. I like that. Old physical style, good player.
All
Absolutely.
good things come out of St. Louis until you come to Smashville,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for you here today. Thank you for joining us on Blue Raider Extra Point right here on True Blue TV.
And remember, if you missed this or any episode, you can check it out on MiddleTennesseeNews.net and hit the sports tab.
Be sure to follow us at MTN Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see all of you next week.
Blackout game, baby.
Blackout night. It's going to be a good one.
So did you get to go to St. Louis and Nashville game here?
I did. It was a great game.
It was
Great
not a
game
good
for
game.
you,
I mean,
right?
it
Great
wasn't a
game
good
for
game
me.
for
Oh,
him.
it was last year's
7-1.
game.
Last year's game, 7-1.
7-1 is
Lord
not
have
a
mercy.
I hope you guys blow out your next opponent like that. I want
hope
to see
so,
7
too.
goals on
I
the
hope
board.
so.
My poor
Yeah.
Preds, man.
It's okay. They'll figure it out.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day, he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.